CROFFLES. The croffle is a croissant pressed in a waffle iron invented in Dublin, Ireland by a baker named Louise Lennox around 2017. The waffle iron flattens the laminated croissant dough and caramelizes the butter in each layer against the hot iron, creating a crispy exterior with a honeycomb interior, unlike anything a standard waffle or croissant produces individually. Korean cafes adopted the format in 2019, and the croffle went viral across Asia before reaching the United States through Korean-American bakeries. A Dublin baker's experiment with leftover croissant dough created a breakfast format that traveled from Ireland to Korea to America in under 5 years. Breakfast pizza. Breakfast pizza applies everything Americans love about pizza to the morning meal. Scrambled eggs, bacon or sausage, and cheese on a pizza crust instead of tomato sauce. The format appeared in American diners and school cafeterias in the 1980s, when food service operators discovered that pizza dough was a more versatile breakfast vehicle than toast. Casey's General Store, a Midwestern convenience store chain, became so famous for their breakfast pizza that it developed a regional cult following, comparable to In-N-Out on the West Coast. A convenience store in Iowa accidentally created one of the most devoted regional breakfast followings in America. Greek yogurt with granola. Greek yogurt is standard yogurt strained to remove the whey, concentrating the protein and producing a thicker texture. The straining process removes liquid but not nutrition, leaving a product with nearly twice the protein of regular yogurt. Greek yogurt outsold regular yogurt in the United States for the first time in 2013 and has never returned to second place. The granola added on top was invented by James Caleb Jackson in 1863 as a health food called GRANOLA. John Harvey Kellogg copied the concept and renamed it granola. Jackson sued. Kellogg changed one letter in the name and won. A legal dispute over one letter of difference created the word granola. Chia pudding. Chia seeds were a staple food of the Aztec and Maya civilizations for thousands of years, prized for their ability to absorb water and provide sustained energy during long journeys. Spanish colonizers suppressed chia cultivation after the conquest of Mexico because it was used in religious ceremonies. The seeds nearly disappeared from mainstream agriculture for centuries. American health food culture rediscovered them in the 2000s when their omega-3 content and gel-forming properties became nutritionally interesting. Chia pudding, made by soaking seeds in milk overnight until they form a thick gel, became a staple of wellness culture. An ancient Aztec survival food became a trendy American breakfast after 5 centuries of obscurity. SHAKSHUKA. SHAKSHUKA is a dish of eggs poached directly in a spiced tomato and pepper sauce. It originated in North Africa and spread across the Middle East, where it became a staple breakfast in Tunisia, Libya, Israel, and beyond. The name comes from an Arabic word meaning mixture or shaking. It arrived in Western restaurants and home kitchens in the 2010s and became one of the most searched brunch recipes in the United States and Britain. The entire dish is made in one pan, which helped make it popular with home cooks. Avocado toast. Avocado toast became a global phenomenon in the 2010s, driven almost entirely by social media and cafe culture. The dish existed long before its viral moment. Australian cafes were serving it in the 1990s, but Instagram turned it into a cultural symbol. In 2017, an Australian millionaire sparked international controversy by suggesting that young people could afford to buy homes if they stopped spending money on avocado toast. Avocado prices spiked globally as demand surged, and Mexican avocado farmers saw their incomes triple within a decade. American streaky bacon. This is the one, the strip of bacon that defined what breakfast looks like in the English-speaking world. Cut from pork belly, thin enough to curl at the edges, fatty enough to render into its own cooking oil in the pan. The Maillard reaction hits every surface simultaneously. The result is a crunch that no other cut can replicate. American streaky bacon appears in more recipes, more sandwiches, and more breakfast orders than any other bacon on this list. Every other bacon style on Earth is compared to this one first. The standard exists because nobody has beaten it. Croissant Eggs Benedict. The Croissant Eggs Benedict replaces the English muffin with a croissant, which improves the textural contrast with poached egg and hollandaise by adding laminated pastry layers that absorb sauce differently than bread. It appeared on American brunch menus in the 2010s as brunch culture expanded and restaurants competed for the most photographable plate. The croissant's buttery flavor combines with hollandaise, which is also butter-based, creating a richness that English muffin Benedict cannot match. Nutritionists who have calculated the calorie count of a croissant eggs Benedict have chosen not to publish the results on the menu. This is a deliberate industry decision.
Cinnamon sugar toast. Cinnamon sugar toast is the first thing millions of American children learn to make themselves. Butter on white toast, cinnamon and sugar sprinkled on top, placed under the broiler for 2 minutes. The recipe requires no skill and produces results good enough that adults continue making it decades after childhood. Cinnamon has been used as a flavoring since ancient Egypt and was once so valuable it was used as currency and offered to gods. By the time it reached American breakfast tables, it had become cheap enough to shake onto buttered toast without a second thought. The most ancient luxury spice became the defining flavor of American childhood mornings.
Poached. Poaching is considered the most difficult basic egg technique. The egg is cracked directly into simmering water with a splash of vinegar, which helps the white stay together around the yolk. Professional chefs judge a cook's skill by their poached eggs. The key is using the freshest eggs possible, because older eggs have thinner whites that spread out in the water. Poached eggs became widely known outside professional kitchens, largely because of Eggs Benedict, which put them on brunch menus worldwide. Pancakes. Pancakes are one of the oldest foods in human history, with evidence of flat-grain cakes cooked on hot stones going back over 30,000 years. The American version, thick and fluffy, uses baking powder to create the rise. In 1889, Aunt Jemima became the first ready-mix pancake product ever sold, completely changing how Americans cooked breakfast at home. The world record for the most pancakes eaten in one sitting is 113. Lox and cream cheese toast. Lox is salmon that has been cured in salt for days without smoking, producing a silky texture and intense flavor distinct from smoked salmon. The word comes from the Yiddish lax, meaning salmon, brought to New York by Eastern European Jewish immigrants in the late 1800s. Cream cheese was invented in New York in 1872. The combination of lox and cream cheese on a toasted bagel or bread became the defining brunch dish of New York Jewish culture and eventually spread globally as New York food culture spread globally. A dish assembled from an immigrant curing tradition and an accidental dairy invention became one of the most recognized brunch items on Earth. Sunny side up. Sunny side up is one of the simplest egg preparations in the world, but getting it right is harder than it looks. The egg is fried in butter or oil without flipping, leaving the yolk completely runny and the white just set. The name comes from the bright yellow yolk sitting on top like a sun. In the United States, diner culture made sunny-side-up eggs a breakfast staple served alongside bacon and toast. Canadian bacon. Canadian bacon is not what Canadians call bacon. Canadians call it pea meal bacon, cured in a coating of ground yellow peas historically, now cornmeal. Americans renamed it Canadian bacon and put it on Eggs Benedict, where it has remained ever since. It is cut from the loin like back bacon, leaner than streaky, and comes in a round slice that fits perfectly on an English muffin. McDonald's Egg McMuffin uses Canadian bacon. The Egg McMuffin sells over 300 million units annually in the United States. A Canadian curing tradition accidentally became the structural component of the most successful breakfast sandwich in fast food history. Egg in a hole. Egg in a hole has over 40 names in English alone. Egg in a basket, toad in a hole, bullseye, gashouse egg, one-eyed Jack. The dish is identical regardless of the name. A hole is cut in a slice of bread, butter is added to a pan, the bread goes in, an egg is cracked into the hole, and both are cooked together until the white sets and the yolk remains runny. It appeared in American cookbooks as early as 1896. The dish went viral multiple times on social media, despite being over a century old, because each generation discovers it independently and believes they have found something new. Omelette. The omelette has been eaten across Europe for centuries, but France turned it into an art form. A proper French omelette is pale yellow with no browning, folded into a smooth cylinder in under 2 minutes. Auguste Escoffier, the chef who codified French cuisine in the early 1900s, considered the omelette the ultimate test of a cook's technique. The Spanish tortilla is a thick potato omelet cooked slowly. The Italian frittata is finished in the oven. Every culture that eats eggs has developed its own version. Waffles were invented in medieval Europe when cooks began pressing batter between two iron plates with a honeycomb pattern. The grid design was not decorative, it was practical, creating a structure that held toppings like syrup and butter in the pockets. Thomas Jefferson reportedly brought a waffle iron back from France in the 1780s, helping popularize them in America. Belgium has two distinct waffle styles, the Brussels waffle, which is light and rectangular, and the Liège waffle, which is denser and sweeter with caramelized sugar baked in.
Chicken and waffles. Nobody agrees on where this combination came from. Wells Supper Club in Harlem claims it started there in the 1930s when jazz musicians finishing late-night sets wanted both breakfast and dinner simultaneously. Others trace it to Pennsylvania Dutch cooking centuries earlier. The combination makes no logical sense to anyone who hasn't tried it. Sweet waffle, savory, crispy chicken, maple syrup over everything. It works because it shouldn't. Today, chicken and waffles appears on menus from fast food chains to Michelin-starred restaurants. A dish that confused everyone became one of the most imitated comfort foods in America.
Oatmeal. Oats have been eaten in Scotland and Northern Europe for over 4,000 years, originally considered too coarse for wealthy people and fed primarily to horses and peasants. Samuel Johnson's famous 1755 dictionary defined oats as grain which in England is generally given to horses, but in Scotland supports the people. Quaker Oats, founded in 1877, was the first breakfast cereal ever marketed in branded packaging. Steel-cut oats take 40 minutes to cook. Rolled oats take 5. Instant oats take 90 seconds. The difference is only how thinly the grain is cut.
Scrambled.
Scrambled eggs seem simple, but divide cooks more than almost any other dish. Gordon Ramsay's version uses low heat and constant stirring for several minutes, pulling the pan on and off the heat to create soft, creamy curds. American diners cook them fast on high heat, producing a firmer, fluffier result. The French version is almost custard-like. In the United Kingdom, scrambled eggs on toast is one of the most eaten breakfasts. The difference between bad and great scrambled eggs is almost entirely about heat control.
Eggs Benedict. Eggs Benedict was created in New York City in the 1890s. The most common story credits a Wall Street broker named Lemuel Benedict, who ordered buttered toast, bacon, poached eggs, and hollandaise sauce at the Waldorf Hotel after a night of heavy drinking. The maitre d' liked it so much he put it on the menu. Hollandaise, the rich butter and egg yolk sauce poured over the top, is one of the 5 classic French mother sauces and one of the most difficult to make without it breaking.